Hi, welcome. My name is Jessica Best. I am the Chief Strategist and founder of BetterAve, an agency that focuses exclusively on CRM, first-party data, and you guessed it, email marketing. In today's course, we're going to help you learn creative best practices for email. I'm going to teach you how to grow your list. We're even going to talk about email's superpower, data. We're going to make data-driven marketing that includes data that drives the content of our emails, data that drives the timing of our emails, and even data that helps us optimize our emails. But before all of that, we have to be ready. Getting started in email marketing. Let's go. In this lesson, we're going to talk about why you should even care about email marketing. You are taking this course, but maybe you need a little bit of justification for when to spend time on email marketing and what it's really good at. We're also going to visit the anatomy of an email. What are the ingredients that make up email, and what are the words that we use specific to this industry? Lastly, planning email marketing and fitting it into your broader content strategy. Let's get started. Before we dive in, we've got to be ready for greatness. And why are we even talking about email to begin with? Why did you take this course? Email marketing is one of 7 going on 70 channels you could spend your time on in marketing. What's so great about email marketing? Well, first, it's an old school direct marketing channel made new. Email being direct marketing means that I can send out one to many, but not like TV, more like every person on my list can get a different version, it can hit them at different times, and I can learn what each of them are doing to engage. That's direct and data-driven email marketing. But first, it's important to say this is a little bit cheating. I love email marketing because it can be fast. I can make an email like the one on the screen in an hour, maybe, and it doesn't take that much time to build once I know the strategy of the campaign. Not only can I build it fast, I can also hit send and start sending today. Think about other direct marketing channels like direct mail. It takes weeks to get printed, maybe another week in the mail, right? So this is an area where we can use data. We can use our database, but it's a lot faster. So it can go out fast. The strategy is maybe not fast, but the execution can be fast. But more importantly, you can send at the exact right moment for each individual recipient on your list. And that can happen automatically. Think about when you receive a welcome email, right? You go to sign up for somebody's email and you end up getting a welcome email or welcome email series. And that's because you're fresh, you're new. It's time to send you something right out of the gate. We can also customize the content of our emails to vary for each subscriber or email person on our list. If somebody came to this beer festival called Boulevardia last year, we might tweak the message a little bit. Thanks for coming last year. You remember how great it was. You definitely don't want to miss out this year. If somebody's never been to Boulevardia before, we can start with a little introduction. What is it like to be at Boulevardia? We can also track individual engagement, and I will admit that when I first started doing email marketing, this was the first time I felt truly addicted to it. I would hit send, and then I would refresh the screen, refresh the screen, refresh the screen, because what I wanted to see was people opening and clicking my email in real time. That also helps us for things like A/B testing. I could know my answer within a few hours in some cases. Now, based on that individual engagement, I can also change what I send as a follow-up. I can nurture those people who are inactive to maybe take action if they're not opening and clicking. If those people that are really active seem to be some of my best engaged subscribers, I can use that data for segmentation and versioning as well. And of course, maybe the most important part of email marketing is you own a database of customers or prospects. In today's world, we're looking at a bunch of ways to talk to the audiences that we could potentially target, but a lot of them are on rented land. A lot of them are somewhere else. For email marketing, we have an email address. No matter what email platform we're sending this through, we always have that identifier, that piece of data that we can go and send that email to. Even if our email platform were to go away tomorrow, right? That's definitely not true of social media. I remember a couple of years ago when Instagram was down for a day and everyone lost their minds because we're not able to activate that audience for a whole day, which in some cases is really detrimental. For email marketing, we pick up, we go to another platform, and we start all over again. I want to point out before I leave this slide that these results are a great example of what I like about email marketing too. For this email, this is a bunch of Beer Fest goers that are going to go to Beer Fest again this year. So of course we see really strong open rates in the 42-43 range and really strong unique click-through rates, 4% and plus. So email marketing is really easy to fall in love with when you look at these metrics. But does the consumer love email marketing? Why would we spend time on email marketing if it's not what our recipients actually wanted? And it turns out that even today, email marketing is still the #1 preferred channel for receiving communications from a brand. Now, you might text your friends or call your grandmother. You should call your grandmother. But you do want to keep that relationship with brands in a channel that you have some control over. And that's email. In fact, wildly preferred, especially by those millennials that we always argued weren't going to like email, and even Gen Z. Compared to social media, we're still looking at email as the primary channel for how they want to receive great content and offers and information about the brands that they follow. Most importantly of all, email marketing rocks because it returns the highest ROI, return on investment, of any of your marketing channels. Part of this is because it cheats, right? It's inexpensive to send, and everyone on this list already asked for marketing from us. That's pretty unique. We're not getting that in the cost per click or paid search world. As you can see on this is the old view of Google Analytics, forgive me, but I love these numbers because it's so clear that while CPC, cost per click advertising, is driving 5 times the revenue, each of those sessions probably cost $1, $2, for some of my restaurant clients $9, right? For an upscale steakhouse, it might be really expensive to get that session. But for email marketing, it's $1 per 1,000 to send to this list, and everyone on the list is primed for engagement. So we see that turn into revenue, maybe not as scalable revenue. I'm going to come back to that throughout the course, but it is really, really high return on investment. Email marketing on average earns $20 to $100 for every $1 you invest in it. Now that's from Dairy Queen soft serve ice cream to Spirit Airlines flights to Florida, and everything in between, or a $400,000 Winnebago vehicle, right? The actual revenue is going to vary pretty greatly, but it's a pretty extreme example of a channel that can earn a high return on investment. Before we can talk about best practices in creative, let's nail down the anatomy, the ingredients of an actual email, starting with something that's not in the email at all, the subject line. Actually, 40% of whether or not somebody opens your email is the subject line. Another 20 to 40% could be who it's actually from. Does somebody recognize who it's from? Have you sent really good content from that same name or email address in the past? But the subject line is super powerful and an opportunity we don't want to waste. We'll talk a lot about that. Then the second piece up here is the pre-header. This is actually in a lot of the emails. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, depending on how it's coded. But this is that mice type, that really small type at the top of an email that kind of lets you know what the email is going to be about. And the reason for that is it's going to pull through as preview text in the inbox. So for example, on an iPhone, if you see 1 line for subject line, you'll actually see 2 lines of preview text. Definitely an opportunity not to be missed. We'll come back to that. Once we get into the designed portion of the email, there's usually some sort of a branded graphic header, right? There's a name of a newsletter, or more often than not these days, this is as simple as a brand logo. We want this to be pretty small. Not only do we want it to be easy to see on mobile when all of this scales down, but we kind of want to get to the good stuff, right? We want to get to the main message. So that branded graphic header has become usually half width, something that's kind of easy to scroll past. Then we get to the big juicy stuff. The main message in item number 4 could be a hero image. It could be a main article with a big, juicy call to action button. And this is red on purpose. There is some psychological testing that proves that red draws the eye more than other colors and can be a really powerful CTA color. But make sure you test with what works with your brand standards. We do want that CTA to be pretty big and juicy, right? We want it to be something that is where the eye goes in the email, but also needs to have a lot of breathing room around it so that we can really click on it easily with a thumb or with a mouse. Then comes the supporting messages or messaging. For one of my retail clients, they had up to 36 products in every email that sort of aligned with the hero section, aligned with that main message, but they were not afraid to make an email that scrolled. And that's okay. The real estate is more or less free in email. I'll come back to that idea. There's a little bit of risk there, but main message supported by supporting messages, as many as you want. And then of course we do get into the legally required footer ingredients. This one's going to be where we stick some of our can spam required elements, which I'll show you here in a minute. This is what it looks in real life. This is an example from one of my partners, water.org. First thing you'll notice is that their subject line writing is super on point. They've got not just great subject lines, but subject line and pre-headers that play really well together. That subject line length is usually under 25 characters, which is magic. That means that it should show up almost entirely, even in a mobile inbox. That's really powerful. So we're writing those subject lines and pre-headers as a combo package. Then in the body of the email, simple water.org logo in the header. And notice that in their header, they also have an always there donate button. This has become pretty popular too. If there's one CTA that you want people to click, even if they don't read your email, you can put that at the top of the email and use that space really well. Then on a mobile device, the logo goes first and that button becomes second as you scroll down the email. Big, beautiful hero image. As promised, they actually have a secondary image here as well. And then the headline. The headline has different font treatment here. It's a little bit larger. This is even kind of a custom font for them. And then we go right into the body copy, followed by that CTA button. Notice how the flow almost creates a reverse pyramid here. We're really trying to draw the eye to that big, beautiful CTA button. For water.org, their supporting messaging is kind of the proof points, right? The double your impact, but made into visible impact. For $100, you used to be able to impact 20 families, and now you can impact 40, and so forth and so on. So this supporting messaging really drives home the double my impact CTA right above it. Last but not least, we get to that legally required footer that's got things like address and privacy policy. The privacy policy isn't required, but we do see it pretty often. And of course, our social media icons, also not required and admittedly don't get many clicks, but doesn't take up much space. The other thing I want to point out before we leave this example, check out that donate link in the footer as well. Sometimes we call this area the dripping pan. If somebody makes it to the bottom of your email and has not taken their action yet, don't leave them with only a privacy policy to click on. That donate link may not get many clicks, but again, it's worth it to have it in there. For the specifications of an email, this can vary pretty widely depending on what your brand standards look like, what your design looks like, what your email needs to accomplish. But in most of my years, we've stuck pretty close to a 1200 pixel wide desktop design. And here's why. The 600 pixels wide as a portion of your 1080 pixel wide laptop screen, for example, is probably about how wide a Gmail email will be once it's fit within the Gmail inbox environment. So we're trying to use that 600 pixels as almost a standard. So why is this 1200? Because quite a few years ago, we started adding Retina display to a lot of our devices, which made a lot of our standard resolution images seem almost grainy. So now we actually save all of our components at double the pixels and double the DPI dots per inch. So 1200 pixels wide at 144 dots per inch is the perfect width, for example, for that hero image. Because then even on a mobile device, we're gonna see that really crisp, high resolution, all 1200 pixels, just resized for a mobile device. The header logo is typically gonna be about half width. So if we're programming at 1200 pixels, we can make that 600 pixels or less. No reason to make it the full half width if you don't have a huge logo. And then the CTA button, the call to action is typically about a third of the screen on desktop. But notice that it's almost the whole screen on mobile, or 2/3 of the screen on mobile. That's really intentional. We want to be clear that on a mobile device, if my big fat thumb is trying to click that button, it needs to have sort of a clear runway not to click on anything else. So we're not changing the actual width of that button. Rather than taking it to a relative width, we're not changing the actual width of that button on a mobile device. Now, if you are programming your buttons as actual tables, one column, one row with a link in the middle and a background color, then those can actually be programmed at true width for both the desktop and mobile device. Meaning in this case, 200 pixels wide on a desktop or 100% wide on a mobile device. Most of your email platforms will have these templates pre-made for you. Check out what they've got. If you don't like what they've got, make your own. But a lot of these decisions in how an email reacts on mobile are now kind of baked into a lot of the software that we're using, whether it's HubSpot or MailChimp. The other thing I want to point out on the mobile device is the stacking element. You guys probably see this in your inboxes and may not even realize that this is what's happening. But for mobile, the biggest thing that we need to do is make sure that every individual component of our email is legible. No pinching and zooming, right? So to do that, we take things that are half width and stack them instead of trying to fit them side by side. That header logo goes first. Anything else in the header comes second. The hero image will still be 100% width, but notice that it's the same exact image, meaning the same proportions. This is going to be really important as we talk about not shoving a bunch of words into our hero image, because on a mobile device, it's going to be really, really tough to read. Let's dive into creating email strategy. Before we go into what the strategy should be, let me just take a note to say that email should not be the thing that you sit down on a Tuesday with a blank piece of paper and think, I wonder what I I should send. You should have a plan for email marketing, and it shouldn't be standalone. Make this part of your larger cross-channel content calendar and strategy. This is an example from At Home, and no matter what their deal, their flash find or deal of the day was, that was the same content in the hero of their email, on the main section of their website, the homepage of their website. Even their influencer content almost always aligned with that same day because those flash finds were sort of their true north. Create a content calendar, one single solitary content calendar, and make email one of the channels that helps distribute that great content out to your audiences. The other place this comes in handy, if you have great influencer content, that's actually a really good brief for email. This is an example of one where we partnered up with an influencer on a throw pillow sale. I love this client. It's so fun to talk about like pillows as a product. But in this case, this is Green Goddess on Instagram, and she redid her living room using this throw pillow sale. And so she talks about how it fit with her aesthetic and how she changed seasons with these pillows. So in our contract with her, not only is she sending this through her Instagram channels to her followers, she's also giving us some of those assets. So we reused a lot of the photography that she shot in the body of an email showing, here's how Brooke, Green Goddess, used these pillows, and here are the exact pillows that she chose. That helps drive up those sales because not only can we see an influencer who we know has style and what we can use her recommendations for, we also see it in real life. We see it in her real living room. A great example of cross-channel planning. Assignment time. Take a look at your own social media or paid marketing efforts for the next 3 months. Where could email marketing support those campaigns for you? Where could we get another set of eyes, including this opted-in database, on that same topic or promotion? Put that on your marketing calendar right alongside the other channels, and let's go. In this lesson, we talked about why we love email marketing so much, the anatomy or ingredients of an email, and how email fits into a broader content strategy.